Hey everybody, my name's Kyle and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. It was just about a year ago that I first heard the music of singer-songwriter Phoebe Bridgers. Her debut album ended up in my top 10 albums of 2017, but Bridgers was just one of a handful of female singer-songwriters to emerge from the indie music scene over the past year. Julian Baker is another very prominent example, and Jay Som is another artist that I included in my top 10 last year. Marika Hackman also released a really strong album in 2017. At some point late in the year, we started to hear some buzz about another new singer-songwriter with an upcoming album. Sophie Allison is a 20-year-old musician that records under the name Soccer Mommy. She's put out a handful of EPs and song collections via sites like Bandcamp, and she's just released her first official album this week entitled Clean. If you've listened to any of the artists that I've mentioned a minute ago, you'll know what to expect from Soccer Mommy. She's part of the same wave of what seems to be called bedroom pop. It's this lo-fi, homemade, intimate-sounding music. It's not necessarily a new sound. I mean, I talked about Liz Phair's Exile in Guyville recently. It's a lo-fi masterpiece that's 25 years old. I don't think I ever heard the phrase bedroom pop associated with that album, but it should certainly be considered one of the genre's landmarks. These days, it kind of feels like a small world. We had Phoebe Bridgers touring with Julian Baker last year. Now this year, she's hitting the road with Soccer Mommy. Based on their albums, as well as the live clips that I've seen online, I'd say that Phoebe Bridgers and Soccer Mommy would be a can't-miss show if they hit one of your local venues. If you need more convincing, you can check out my Phoebe Bridgers review from September. But today, let's talk about the new Soccer Mommy album. Spoiler alert, I liked it quite a bit the first few times I listened to it, but I later found it a little lacking. I'll explain that later part later. First, let's talk about what I like about Clean. Even though this is supposed to be the first official studio album from Soccer Mommy, the album still maintains the bedroom pop vibe that probably endeared her to early fans. If you go into the album expecting a glossy, polished sonic upgrade, the very first track lets you know straight away that this is still going to be a fairly lo-fi affair. Still Clean is a pretty stripped-down album opener with just Sophie Allison and her guitar for most of the song. Near the end, the audio seems to cut out as if a demo version had been spliced in. It's a nice nod to her lo-fi roots. In fact, the second track plays a trick on us as well. As the song Cool winds down, the music starts to warp a little, as if the tape had been stretched or damaged. This song also introduces a full band with a bit of a pop grunge sound that could have been lifted from Liz Phair's first album. In fact, there's several songs on Clean that remind me of early Liz Phair, which is never a bad thing in my opinion. But on track 3, the first thing I'm actually reminded of is the Smiths. There's a tone and melody to the guitar riff that the song is built around that has a decidedly Smiths-esque feel to it. This song is one of the first singles from the album, and I think it's a good choice. It's a good representation of the album as a whole, I think. As track 4 begins, we return to a stripped-down guitar sound briefly before the band joins in and adds a dreamlike texture to the music. The shimmery chorus effect on the song is sort of a trademark of a lot of bedroom pop, and it works nicely here. Allison follows a very similar formula on Blossom, Wasting All My Time. It treads close to feeling a bit repetitive, but there's some nice jazz chords that help keep things interesting. And I like the subtle piano accents in the background too. On Last Girl, we're back in Liz Phair territory with a little bit of Juliana Hatfield thrown in for good measure. This song gets my vote for the next single. It's a great indie pop rocker, and it's one of my favorite tracks on the album. By the way, as we're making comparisons, I definitely hear a Sheryl Crow flavor to Sophie Allison's voice. It's especially noticeable on this particular track. Tracks 7 and 8 continue a really strong second half for the album. Skin takes the tempo down just a little, helping us transition into the more tender opening of Scorpio Rising. This song has some of the most vivid storytelling on the album. I also love the dynamic swings in the sonic landscape here and the way she uses distortion to add some almost organic textures to the music. Track 9 is called Interlude, and it is exactly that. It's about a minute and a half of a delicate acoustic guitar arpeggio paired with electric guitar, awash in reverb. Up until this point, I'm not sure that we've even heard an acoustic guitar on the album, so it really stands out here. Yeah, and it stays front and center on Wallflowers, the closing track as well. As the song evolves, we get back to some of the dreamlike sounds of previous songs before the piano comes in, almost like a lullaby to put the album to bed. And as the album comes to a close, I definitely get a satisfied feeling. With a running time of a little over half an hour, it's a short album, but it feels just right. None of the songs ever feel like they've overstayed their welcome, and there's a good balance between mid-tempo rockers and the kind of intimate moments that you expect from a bedroom pop artist. And like I said earlier, I was really digging this album a lot at first. Then I went and I listened to some of her earlier music from 2015 through 2017, and I was digging that a lot too. Suffice it to say, if you like Clean, you should definitely go check out those earlier recordings. The problem is, I was hearing some really unique sounds and experimentation on those recordings, things that really caught my ear and made me say, hey, that was pretty cool. And then I thought, why aren't I hearing anything like that on the new album? So I went back and I listened to Clean a couple more times, and suddenly I felt like I was missing something that I didn't know I was missing before. Still, there's no denying this is a strong, quote-unquote, debut album that leaves me looking forward to more music in the future. And based on the kinds of things that piqued my attention in her early recordings, I feel pretty confident that her follow-up album will see Soccer Mommy upping her game. But for now, Clean is a good and occasionally very good official debut album. So I'm giving Soccer Mommy an X rating of 6 out of 10. But I'm curious, what do you think of lo-fi bedroom pop? Do you have any favorites, or would you rather listen to something that's a bit more fully produced? Let me know down in the comments. I'll also link to a couple of related videos right here below, so check those out as well. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe, because true music fans always want new releases the day they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.